Hey, what's happening, guys? I have the 7118, not 17, and the 7116 in, and we're going to get the little bit from the list taken care of on this, and then the 7116, which is behind it. Right there. Weight box has to come off of there. I am going to put some weights in there. They're weights from when I got my loader that I no longer need, and I hope I don't end up needing, because I'm going to empty the sand out of this box and put them in here. Then I'll get this mounted to the quickway loader. Quickway loader did something strange yesterday. It was running funky. I started it up today and it seems fine, so I'm going to take a look at see possibly what's going on with that. I'm not sure if it was fuel delivery or what exactly was going on. It just had a hitch in its get along, but it fired right up this morning and did great. So I'm going to start it, let it sit out there and run for a while, and once it has run for a while, I'll see if it starts acting up again. If so, I may have to look at that Kohler a little more closely that's in it. But let me get started. Over here we're going to put in a new throttle cable, and there's a couple more small things. This one came because collectively Sean and I thought the bevel gearbox was bad. Turns out it's just a couple of loose bolts. Tighten those bolts, everything's good with the world. In fact, I'll go ahead and fire it up for you with choke. So bevel gearbox is fine. That little bit of chatter you hear at the end, that's just the PTO's disengaged, and when they're disengaged they make a little bit of a rattle. But let's get busy on this. I'll show you guys how I'm just gonna throw a new throttle cable in there and get rid of this push mower throttle cable, which is not anywhere near being even remotely close to being correct. And we're going to give it a once over. We're going to go ahead and give it an oil change, lube everything, check the transmission, make sure that everything's good to go, and then we'll move it out of the way and start working on the 7116. So let's get set up. Alright gang, I fast forwarded, just taking the gas tank out and whatnot, so I've had access here. There was one cable that was just wrapped around the hydro lift arm that was serving absolutely no purpose, so got rid of that one, and that one was in this hole down here. The actual choke cable is on down lower, all the way down, right here. My hand's in the way. Right there. So we don't need that other cable in this hole. We need a cable on this assembly. Now that assembly looks like this. Okay, that's the whole thing right there. Sans the nut. That's the only thing that's missing off that. But we've got all that there. All we're going to be using is the cable. But on this bracket right here, that the cable grab has got a hold of, that also goes through the dash tower, and it goes through the dash tower so that it will hold that that plate in position. Right now there's no bolt in there, so when you move the throttle lever, it moves too, as you can see. So we're just going to throw a bolt in there and the cable at the same time, so that we can then route the cable, and hopefully the cable's long enough. Should be, because if memory serves, I did use the stock cable when I did this conversion, and this is a Briggs 18-horse Vanguard in a tractor that had a Command, Kohler Command KT twin, so it was an opposed. So got it to fit in there. I had to use a mounting plate for the Kohler Triad, the overhead cam Kohler, and in doing so, that gave me the correct pinion angle so that I could get my drive shaft mounted correctly. But there's a whole series on that, and you guys are more than welcome to go check that out. I'm gonna get this in the slot. Get in there. There. Got it in the hole. Now we've got to get that plate back down and lined up with its respective hole, which I just ran right past. Right about there. Poke that screw through just like that, and then go that way. This, I know my hands are in the way. Let's see if we've got a better place that we can position you. That's a little better. And then the cable goes in that position, in that spot as well. Then you have either a cage nut, or you can use, or not a cage nut, but a star nut, or you can use a star washer, and we'll just cinch that down using a screwdriver on one side. If I can get the thread started. There we go. Heat index today is supposed to be excuse me, upward around super hot. If that's not descriptive enough, then you know, over 100. It's like 105 degrees, something to that effect, is what the heat index is going to be. Humidity is going to be up there too, obviously. And I don't want this so tight that I can't swing it. There we go. Let me make sure that we're working okay. Yep. Good motion there. And yeah, I think we're going to be okay. Well, no. You know what? We are not going to be okay lengthwise. We're going to be a little short. But that's okay. There's more than one way to skin a cat. So let's take it back, this cable back off, and I will source a cable that will reach, and I'll bring you guys back, and then I'll show you how you can shorten your own cables and make your own Z-bends. And I'm going to do a Z-bend the old-fashioned way, the way that I used to do it before I got a fancy little tool. So I'll show you that, and then I will show you the fancy little tool, which costs a little bit of nothing, honestly. It's just a little piece of actually keyway stock that's just been cut and machined. In fact, I'll show it to you right now to make your own Z-bands. It's on a bunch of older videos, but that's the guy right there, okay? And you see that little groove there, and then you see the hole in there. Well, you simply put the end of your cable in. I'm going to show you. I'm going to put this cable right here, as a matter of fact. That way it'll be clear as mud. Here, come up here and look at me in my Gas Monkey Garage t-shirt. Alright, hopefully you guys can, this thing's just in the way. Get out the way. Get out of the way. Ouch, thank you. I got poked in the nethers. You guys know what a Z-bend is, right? Well, what this tool does is you would put that hole, put your cable in there, and you would then bend it 90 degrees, and then you turn it. I don't know if you guys can be able to see this. And then you will turn that first 90 degree just like that, and that will enable you to make your second bend. Okay, but I am, like I said, I'm going to show you how to do it without that little tool. And if my memory sticks with me, I will do my level best to post a link to these. They're not very expensive at all, but very, very handy. And really all they are is just 1/4 inch keyway stock with a sleeve over top, vinyl sleeve over top of them. So let me find a suitable cable that is long enough, and we'll bring you right back. Alright, I went through my bundle. I got a nice vintage heavy cable. This is the original cable. This one's actually just a little bit heavier, so these will work just fine on it. And also the dust cap ends will also work fine on it. But I'm going to show you guys how you can shorten them. I need to get you in a pretty specific spot. So let's get the nope drawer out. There we go. Okay, I'll move that up out of the way. Yes, I have glasses on, so no worries there. To get the length that you need, once you have measured and you measured again, and then you because you measured a third time, you want to take your cable and pull it out a good ways. This needs to stay long. Okay, so you take that out, you're just pulling it right out of the sheathing, and then you get your length that you're needing. In my case, I haven't measured it yet, I'm just doing this as a looky-loo. Then with that cable out of the way, all right, kick your grinder on and just come in and using the corner of the stone, or if you have a snag grinder, you can do the same way, same premise, and just gently go into it. And as you can see, it's making a little V spot. Keep doing that until this piece just falls off in your hand. Then you can clean the end up with the grinder as well. So here we go. It's off. All right, just that easy. And it's going to leave you with a little snag on the end there. So just gently, using your wrist, touch it a little bit. Give it a little spin. And then to make sure that you've got it clean enough, just take your cable that you pulled through previously, shove it all the way through and shove it home, and make sure that it goes through where you just shortened the outer sheet. And in my case, I didn't grind enough, but there's another way I can do it. Hold on. I'm just going to pull it all the way out. Okay, pull the cable all the way out of the sheathing. Let me get to the end that I just ground, right there, and just make sure the cable goes in there nice and easy, just like that. Okay, so there you go. I am going to lube this cable thoroughly. I'm going to get my length, but now I'm going to show you how to do your Z-bend. And doing your Z-bend is pretty easy, just with 2 pair of pliers. So let me grab a couple pair of pliers here real quick, and I will show you how to do it. And I typically like to use a pair of needle nose and then a good grippy pair of pliers. So these are Nipex. Which ones are they? The 1381/8, and these are the ones I'm going to use to make the bends. These are the ones I'm going to use to hold on to the wire. Okay, I can hold the wire either that way in the center or that way. These are VAM pliers. They allow you to twist out stripped heads because of the way the jaws are made. Okay? But I don't need to hold it that way, I just need to hold it this way. Okay, and your first bend, just make sure you get 90 degrees. All right, Take it and then just rotate both pliers until they are 90 degrees from one another. Just like that. Then you can check it, and if it's not quite right, you can finish bending so you have a good 90 degree. Okay, I've got a 90 degree. Now I need to go the other way. Now you only need one pair of pliers. Use your needle nose and get in there pretty thin. Okay, you don't need a whole lot of room because typically you're just going through a piece of sheet metal. So go nice and thin and give it another 90 degree turn. And now we have a Z-bend. And our Z-bend on the other end, when we get ready to do it, I'll show you how it works on the tool. But let me get my measurement figured out now, and we'll get this cable mounted. And it's going to go through this cable holder and into this hole in the back of the throttle. Before, the cable was run this way through this bracket and that cable clamp. We're coming from the same side, going through that and right to our throttle. So I'll be back when I've got the cable the right length and I've got it secured in this end. Showed you how it secures, goes through that plate, and then we'll show you how to get everything bent, get the Z-bend in it, and get it mounted and get it adjusted. Because adjusting, some people have trouble with that, and I get asked that a lot. So stay tuned. All right, we're standing on the other. Didn't mean to scare you. Hope nobody jumped. We're on the other side of the motor now, engine, and that is closed. That is full throttle. Okay, see the two? See the difference? So, checking to make sure that you have your throttle lever all the way down at idle. You want to match up the cable, and you're giving you still have adjustable room here to go in or out. Okay, so cinch this so that when you go full throttle and you pull this to full throttle, that your sheath is not hitting where you're attaching it to the throttle. Follow me? Okay, this is actually via the governor, so but at any rate, right in that hole right there. So that's full throttle right there. And then we go back to idle, which is there. And I move my lever back to idle. Let me make a mark on this so you can see it moving. I about grabbed a silver marker. Okay. Now we've got that all the way down on idle, so we want to make a mark right where, come here, cable, if you're able. Come on, thank you. You want to put that cable right over top of the hole, and that's where you want to mark it. Give it a little mark. Okay, see, I've got a red mark there. Now that's not the right position because I'm on idle, but I'm at full throttle. Now I go back to full throttle, or idle rather, and my mark moved. That's where I actually want to put it, not here. So sorry for any confusion. I forgot to put the lever back on idle. So you make your mark, and then you can take that cable loose again from being secured. Doesn't hurt to also mark where you have the cable sheath so that you can put it back in the same spot. And then I'll show you how to do the Z-bend with that little tool. So hang on. All right, there is our red mark right there. So we want to measure out a 1/2 inch, and that's where we will cut this cable in preparation for putting our Z-bend. I've got this little mini pair of bolt cutters. You can also use hardened side cuts or dikes, whatever you want to call them, but come out about a 1/2 inch. We'll go ahead and measure it just for you guys here. Get my scale. Okay. Measure out a 1/2 inch. That puts us right there. And that is where we want to cut it. And snip. And when you cut your cable down to length like I showed you on the bench grinder, give yourself a little bit of extra slop. The reason you want a little bit of extra slop is you can always make it shorter, but you can't make it longer. Okay? Alright. Now, our fancy little piece of keyway stock, 1/4 inch keyway stock. Put it in the hole, just like that, okay? And it gives you a shoulder, a ramp right here. You see that? While you're holding that cable in, bend to 90 degrees. Just like that, see? And then slightly pull it out of the hole so that you can rotate that Z-bend tool around so that it captures that cable. Can you see how that's got that cable captured? As soon as it has it captured, then you go in the opposite direction and you make the tool parallel with the cable. So you just pull that until you are parallel, just like that. Then you can rotate the tool, pull it out, and there is your Z-bend ready to go on. So now we can finish getting that throttle cable on. We'll let the tractor back down. I need to start it and warm it up a bit so I can do a service on it. It's not had an oil change since I did it hasn't run much here, but what, 2.5 years since I put the Vanguard in, it's not had the oil change. It's not been used a ton, but anyway, that's what we're getting ready to do now, is finish getting that throttle cable on. We'll test it with the engine running, make sure we've got we can get it all the way down to idle and all the way up to full throttle, and if so, then we can just come back and make sure that our clamps are secured. I do have this clamp secured, and as you can see on the low, I've got about 1 inch of cable before the sheath, and then as I pull, it just makes it longer, so no risk of hitting the cable sheath with the cable. And the cable has been lubed. I'll show you how that's done too. It's kind of long-winded just for changing the cable, but I just wanted you guys to see. Okay, here's that cable. There was a cable in there that had no purpose. It was just on the lift lever. So this is a cable lubricator. Typically they're sold as motorcycle cable lubricators, but they work on any kind of cable. And you just give them a little shot, and when you give them a shot, that forces the fluid into the sheathing to the cable, so the cable moves. Because before I did this, I could not move that cable. That cable was froze solid in there. All right, catch you guys when we got this back on the ground and getting ready to start it. All right, there we are at idle. Here we are full throttle. And if these start slipping on you, it is a friction. All you have to do is tighten that nut a little bit more. It's a lock nut. tighten it a little bit more, and you'll get the friction that you need to keep your throttle position. So I see a lot of them that like tend to fade back too. And here's another issue with these. See how floppy that is? Give me a second and I'm going to show you the fix for it. Okay. I don't know if we're going to need a light or not. I don't think we will. The fix is quite simply a lock washer. You take lock washer, because it has a washer and a lock nut. Use a lock washer on top of the washer and then reuse the lock nut. A little tricky to get to. You sort of have to get to it from underneath and with a long extension, as you'll see. But there's my wrench, or my ratchet rather, and get it switched, get it moved over there, get it on the nut, and then tighten her back down. And I usually move the lever to one end or the other. Typically I move it away from me. Nice and tight, good and tight. There we go. The glove is stuck, the wrench is stuck, everything is stuck. You won't have such tight quarters if you've got a different engine in yours. Excuse me. Alright, so now that that is done, I've got that lock washer in between the washer and the lock nut. No more play. Just pure function. No play. None. That's the fix for it. Let's get it on the ground, start it up. Boy, are those good. We got to fast forward about 2 hours, because whenever Dave comes over, we get to flapping our gums, and we are our own worst enemies. But he did bring me a free, I think it's a 30-liter dehumidifier. Let's get down here and see. I don't have my glasses on, I can't read it. Anyway, it holds a lot of water. I'm actually going to try it in the house first, but it is so that when the humidity gets as high as it is, I can help keep the humidity down a bit for the machining equipment. But anyway, we do clean outs, and he forgot that he had this one. He's already running 3 in his house. So, but it blows a good bit of pretty warm air. So I have to make a deflector and make a dedicated spot for it halfway in and halfway out of my office and block it. Make something to go around it so that I can seal and not be blowing the hot air in, which is contradicting the air conditioner. But anyway, it's enough about dehumidifier. Back to where we were on the Sovereign, or excuse me, the 7118. We've got it on the ground. I've just got the battery charger topping it off. And here's our throttle. I'm going to move it up and back. As you can see, our cable is adjusted. I've not changed the oil yet. I want to let it sit and run for a while and get the engine oil nice and warmed up. Got the gas tank back in. Everything's done and tidied up under there. So I don't know if it'll start without choke or not. We'll find out. It probably needs choke because I had the fuel line off. Oh, wait a minute. And the fuel is off. It's not going to run with the fuel off. There we go. Alright, are we good? I think we're good. I don't know why that wire is not attached to anything. Here's my charge wire. Oh, lights. Alright. Here we go. It's probably going to have to crank a bit to pull some fuel in. why these have a delay. All of them do. Anyway, it's all sorted. I also went through and lubricated everything. Everything's golden, everything's good to go. I did forget to lubricate the clutch. I'll get that done. In fact, my grease gun is right over there. But I'm gonna go ahead and call this one. I'm gonna wrap it up. Everything that was on the list is done, with the exception of the oil change, and that just leaves the 7116, and we'll get on it next. And then Sean, this is Tuesday, by the way, Tuesday, June 14th, and we're just 1 week away from the summer solstice, longest day of the year, daylight wise. Anyway, we'll get the little things ironed out on that, not a lot, and then get the weight box emptied, get the sand out of it, get the weights in it that I'm going to put in it for him, get that mounted to the Sovereign with the Quickway, and then we're going to run the Quickway for a while. I'll do that off camera. I want to see if it repeats what it did yesterday. It was just really odd. It was smoking from somewhere. I couldn't tell where it was smoking from, so I got to pull the hood off so I can get a closer look at it. And it may have just been burning off oil that was on the muffler, because I do remember getting oil on the muffler. Hydraulic or transmission fluid from the loader when I, with the quick coupler connects and disconnects. So anyway, if you guys want to see how this one was built, I will do my best to link those down in the description, as well as link where you can pick up your own cable Z-bend tool. And yes, I used it today. And it is still working just fine. Lights are still lighting up. Isn't that just, that's unbelievable that it went, I mean, that got hot. Anyway, all right. Glad it wasn't the orange one. It's your friendly neighborhood Zippo. Time for me to go in and get a bite to eat, and I'll come back out and start hitting some other stuff over here on the 7116, and get the oil changed in this after I run it for a little bit. But it's your friendly neighborhood Zippo. I promise you guys. I'll see you when I see you. And I'm munching down one of my childhood favorites, some Happy Cola from Haribo. Later. I'm out of here. The only way to cool off on a day as hot as today is to go for a little ride at 20 till 7 in the evening. Been at it for 11 hours. The only thing left on the 7118, oil change is done, everything, the service is all done, is just pulling the sleeve hitch, flipping the sleeve hitch over. It's the wrong sleeve hitch for it, so it's going to get, that sleeve hitch is actually just going to get moved over here. That's not right. The sleeve hitch that's on the back of the Quickway is coming off and getting moved over here, because that's the wrong sleeve hitch for that machine. So anyway, speaking of Quickway, it's in here. It's not smoking anymore. It's what I thought it was. It was just transmission fluid burning off the muffler. So it's running great, doing everything it's supposed to do, and it's at idle right now. But and some people wanted to see it in action. I'd rather show you my zip loader in action, because this is not mine, but I will lift the front wheels off the ground for you. I don't know why they do that. They all do that. It's just weird, and I gotta shut this thing off before I get dinged for that music thing. I didn't realize it was still on. But yeah, that's all it was that was smoking, was the transmission fluid burning off, the hydraulic fluid burning off the muffler, the heat shroud. But it's golden, it's fine, doing everything it's supposed to do. So you're done. That sleeve hitch is coming off of here and going over to the 7118. The one on the 7118, I can't really put it on the 7116 because I don't have the cable for it. But it's definitely quitting time. Like I say, it's about 20 till 7. Go run up and down the road real quick and cool off, and I'm gonna go ahead and shut the AC off. I let it run last night because I knew I was going to be out here early. Oh, reach. After knocking one thing off, I'm knocking another thing off. Oh, I'll show you guys what it is in here. In here, it is a balmy 100 degrees. Yes, and this is accurate. It's hot. Hot, hot, hot. So I'm surprised. I mean, yeah, my shirt's all soaking wet, but feeling all right though. I'm gonna go cool down and go do the blow dryer thing on the motorcycle. So service is, like I say, done on the 7118. Sans just moving the sleeve hitch off of this one, putting it onto that one. And then we've got a quick service to do on the 7116, and that takes care of the list. So I've got the list right here, so that'll make Sean happy. Right there. And again, this is Tuesday, June 14th. So hopefully tomorrow all 3 will be completed, and then Sean can make plans to come out this coming weekend to pick them up. So that's it. I'll throw this in somewhere.